Yeah, loneliness is an epidemic in our culture. And to some extent, I mean, you can go back in the literature for decades, leadership has always been lonely. Partly because you're responsible for serving everybody who either works for you or is on the board, you report to the board. And, you look at all of that, it can be extremely challenging for leaders to build authentic friendships. So that's always been hard. And then the current cultural climate with all of our devices and the online relationships, virtual fights, loneliness is an epidemic. So yeah, I think that's a real challenge for church leaders. What do you do? I think about it in terms of being very intentional about building relationships. Like, who is that friend that you can just show up and kind of collapse on their kitchen counter? And a lot of leaders don't have that friendship. And friendship has to be worked on. Sometimes you have to be the initiator. Sometimes you have to go out of your way. And I look at it this way, isolation is a tool of the enemy. A lot of leaders get isolated, they get picked off. That's where temptation, it's too easy to give into it because you don't have anyone you're really talking to anyway, and you're frustrated and burned out. So isolation is a tool of the enemy. Solitude is a gift from God. And I would love to see leaders really explore solitude in terms of their time with God, their time getting to know themselves. John Calvin famously said, without knowledge of God, there's no knowledge of self, but without knowledge of self, there's no knowledge of God. So I think as we get more comfortable being alone, being in the quiet, being in solitude, pursuing relationship with other people intentionally, richly, deeply, realizing that we may have 150 or 1,500 or 15,000 friends on social media or followers, but nobody really knows us. And, Robin Dunbar, the evolutionary psychologist, he makes I think a pretty persuasive argument that most people have the capacity for 3 to 5 close friendships. And so what I've been doing as a leader is I've been intentionally pursuing those 3 to 5 people. And I'm really, really privileged. Hung out with one today, hanging out with some tomorrow. These are deep, life-giving friendships. And Arthur Brooks says, they're real friends, not deal friends. And he uses a great phrase for them. He says, they're not worthless, but they're useless. What he means by that is they don't hire you. You're not going to hire them. They're just your friends. So they don't serve any functional utility in terms of getting ahead in your career, but they're of great, great, great value. So they're worthless, but kind of useless. And if you have 3 to 5 of those people in your friends that you just like to hang out with, you like to do things together with, you like to travel with, you can tell everything to, they can come and collapse on your kitchen counter. You can do the same to them. They can text you at 2 a.m. and you're like, oh, good, I'm glad they're reaching out. We don't have that as much in our culture anymore, but you can cultivate that. And if you have that, and then you really crave your solitude, I think you get a lot healthier.